Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 249, I was very lucky to have, privileged to have Toby Gribben on the podcast today. He is a radio presenter, host of the Toby Gribben Show on Shout Radio. We talked about many things, how he got started as a plucky 9-year-old and decided to start up in his own radio station, technically, and basically how he forged his way through, basically doing his own interview show. We talked about how he sources guests, who he some of the famous people he's spoken to, and yeah, generally good chats, I would say. So please sit back, enjoy the show, and yeah, enjoy the podcast. Peace. Haha. Oh. Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 249, I'm very privileged, honored to have Toby Gribben on the podcast. He is the host of the Toby Gribben Show on Shout Out Radio. How are you today, sir?
I'm very well indeed. No complaints my end. How are you?
I'm good. I'm full of smiles. I'm happy. It's a little bit damp where I am, but I'm getting there, slowly but surely.
Yes. It's a lovely sunny day here, though.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
These days rarely happen. You could be in Aberdeen, where it always rains. Always.
Yes. I've only ever been to Aberdeen once. That was to the hospital. That's quite boring, but there you go.
Okay, you know what?
It was actually quite sunny, I think, but it was in summer.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? The question I have to really ask you, the question I really want to ask you, Toby, are you a man or a Muppet?
Well, I'd say I'm a Muppet of a man, probably. That's my definition there. That's my answer.
Okay, yeah, I have to ask because look, you are a fan of the Muppet Show. You've got the cast up behind you, over your shoulder, and yeah, how did you get into this whole radio game? Because look, apart from the love of Muppets and interviewing people, but I don't know a lot about you.
Yes, well, I suppose it started when I was at the whopping age of 9 years old. That's when I first started radio, but it was before that really, I suppose, that my interest started, because I would always wonder how it actually works. How do these things travel through the air so that you can hear somebody, in an FM way? And I still don't really know how that works. I mean, I know a little bit more about it, but it's still a bit beyond me. And then I suppose I just started doing my own shows somehow, because I found out how to do it online. I think technology wasn't, this was only 10 years ago, but technology wasn't what it was, I suppose. But it was still okay. And I did some absolutely terrible shows. I think you could still find them online if you want. I don't know why I haven't deleted them. Yes. I'd recommend you don't listen to them if you want to keep your sanity.
Well, this is the thing. I wouldn't delete them. It's all part of the journey of getting self-improvement in your craft. Because 9 years old, and this is the thing. 10 years ago, podcasting I think podcasting was a thing, but it was one of those things where it was definitely underground more so. And online radio, I would say that were definitely in the same realms of podcasting in some respects. Has that sort of now matured podcasting, or do you think it's slightly ahead or behind?
I don't know. I think the online radio is probably older than podcasting. Around about the start of the millennium seems to be in my head, but I've got no idea why. I've probably read that somewhere. I suppose maybe, every FM station, you can listen to it online anyway. So I suppose and a lot of people listen to FM stations on Alexa as a sort of normal thing now. But I don't know, maybe podcasts these days seem to be more popular than specific internet stations, I think. So maybe podcasts have overtaken internet radio in popularity, I suppose.
Yeah, I see. And like, this is the thing, like, where, like, with your online radio station, does that, is it just online, or does it also go over the airwaves as well?
We're currently just online, but who knows what will happen in the future.
Yeah, I think that's, like, do you have to get a special license or anything for that?
Yeah, well, to get on FM, yeah, you need a specific like Ofcom license or whatever, which is a lot of money, I think. Although I think I looked at it once and it was less than I expected, but still, like, the average person probably couldn't afford it. And then online, you still need, music licenses, PRS and PPL in the UK, and I think that's not too. I think that's about £200 a year, but it depends on how many listeners you have and all that.
So, like, basically, if you had, say, 1 to 10,000 listeners, it might be £200, and if it was like above 10,000, then it'll be some other tier. And
yes, okay, I think so.
Yeah, I see. So it's one of those things where if you all of a sudden had this explosion of popularity, it gets rather nasty. You
have to pay for it, I suppose. Yeah. Although I think most online stations, there is a way. I think, well, whether you want it or not, I think there is a cap on the amount of listeners you have, because of whatever reason. But I think you can pay your provider to have more capacity, I think.
So, like, this is the thing, like, not having a pop or anything like that at radio. Like, do you feel like radio is your thing, but do you sometimes get tempted by the realms of podcasting a little bit more?
Well, I release my interviews themselves that are on the show as podcasts, so I sort of get the best of both worlds in that way. But I suppose it's a little bit of a different podcast because it just goes straight into the interview. There's no sort of introduction, because I want people to be aware that it's a clip from a radio show, because it seems to me that even a lot of my guests seem to think that it's just a podcast, and that really annoys me. So, I tried to make it as clear as possible that this podcast is just highlights from a radio show. Go and actually listen to the radio show if you like it. But yeah, to answer your question, I think that I don't need to be tempted because I sort of already do it. I mean, would I do it exclusively as just a podcast? Not at this point. I suppose the benefit would be that it would take less time because I wouldn't have to actually do a live show, but I don't know. At the moment, it's radio that I like, and I like playing music as well and things.
I hear you, because like, this is the thing. One of the things I haven't done with all of the episodes of the podcast, I hadn't tackled live, like streaming, because like, it's one of those things where, look, when we have a conversation and like, it's perfectly fine. Like, I would say 95%, 99% of the time, there isn't anything which I would say is someone's going to ruin their lives or whatnot.
Yeah.
But if you're live and it's going out, talking away, you just don't know, because there'll be that one moment where someone says something a little bit too risque, and they're like, oh, wait, did I really want to say that? And I'm almost really staring at them like going, oh no. It's like, and you can't take it back. How do you manage to deal with that side of it?
Well, for interviews, I'll let you into a secret. Most of them, the vast majority of them, like 99%, I pre-record them before the show, in the days and maybe even on the same day as the show. So if somebody swears or, says something and later regrets, or says something completely slanderous, that can always be edited out. So, I don't have to worry about that. I think I've done some live a couple of times and nothing went wrong. The only thing I don't like is the delay on Zoom or whatever, or the fact that you don't get a chance to edit it out if you make a mistake, as in stuttering or whatever. And also, some people just go on for ages with an answer. They talk for like... So I've had people before that have talked for like half an hour just to answer one question. And so if that was live, we would have missed the news and everything. So, it gives me a chance to sort of shorten it down, or, split it up into different parts and find a way to still fit it in without messing up all my timings.
You have gone through the bombardier, like you practice. It's like going, yes, the bombs are falling. And you're like going, okay, like, come on now, just take a breath. Breathe, just blink your eye, do something, but it just like keeps on coming. Yes. So this is the thing, and like you've been at this for like almost 10 years, or
it was 10 years last month. I wish I knew the exact day. All I know, it was in April. I think it was the first day I came back from a holiday. For whatever reason, I came back from a holiday, a caravan site or something, and thought, I want to start a radio station, and there I did it.
9-year-old you, just like, hey, here we go. It's like, Radio Goo Daddy, Radio Gaga. So you haven't been always interviewing people for your show. It's like, was it just playing music and just chatting on the mic?
It's sort of evolved over the years. I started the interviews in September 2020, and before that, I suppose it's been varied. It's never just been, I suppose maybe it was right at the start, but it was never just playing music and just saying, that was the Kinks and this is ABBA, which I've heard people do, and that's like the most boring show ever. But I suppose over the years, mainly it's been looking at funny news stories in newspapers, or movie reviews I did once, which I don't really know why, because I'm an expert in movies. And what else have I done? At one time, I went live to my kitchen and made some food or something, which was a terrible idea. I can't seem to remember it going very well, but it was technology-wise, it went fine going live to the kitchen with a wireless mic, but it was just sort of, because it's on the radio and they can't see you, have to describe what you're doing, and I didn't really know what to say, so there was just awkward silences, really. But I've now got into the groove of having interviews, and because as you've been able to tell over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm not very interesting, I can get other people who are interesting on the show to, help bring it up a level.
Oh, come on, Toby. Toby, I'm going to have to push back on that. Look, put it this way. Like, from an age of 9, you decided to start up a radio station. After coming back from holiday, you're like, okay, I want to start a radio station. You've been in the game, you worked out, technology moved on, and you managed to get online. You carried on with that for a few years. And then now you're getting into the realms of interviewing people. Right? And you know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay. Apart from maybe a very dodgy term going live from your kitchen, because I'm thinking radio is not a visual medium. Apart from that, you know what I mean? You're doing interesting steps. Look, you've had some very interesting people on your show. Look, all I've got to simply say, you had Edwina Curry.
Yes.
It was I was like, that's Edwina Curry. I'm jaw slightly aghast.
Wow.
Wait, what have you do? When you had the interview, were you tempted to raise up a box of eggs and just show it?
I did think of it. I did make a terrible pun on my show the week before, saying that next week I've got an excellent guest. But no.
That physically hurt me.
It did. I should have issued a really public apology for that joke. But yeah, I suppose maybe I should have done that. Yeah.
It's like going, it's like going,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, how on earth did you manage to land Edwina Curry? Did you just bump into her in the supermarket?
Yeah, I bumped into her by the eggs section.
Oh, no. Like, how many egg puns can we get into the next minute? It's going to be exciting times.
Yes. Well, quite simply, I just emailed her, really. And it's quite incredible because, you know, most of the time, if you're inviting a famous person to an interview, it's usually some assistant or manager or agent or whoever who emails you back. But sometimes the most famous people, you're really surprised when they email you back themselves. And it's like, so I think, I just asked her in my usual template, I was wondering if Edwina Curry would be able to come on my show to talk about her career, whatever. And then I got a reply saying, I'm available next Monday at 11 o'clock in the morning, if that works. And I was like, yeah, sure. Here's the Zoom link. Boom, done. So, you know, people, I always get asked, like, how did you manage to get these people on? You just need to ask them, really. The worst they can say is no. They're not gonna reply and go, no, how dare you ask me? You're a horrible person. I hate you. Goodbye. They're just gonna say, they're gonna politely go, unfortunately, I'm too busy, or what happens most of the time, they don't even reply, and you never know if they got the email. But yeah.
No, I like that. I love that, actually, because like this is the thing. Like, while like there are many podcasts springing up, many a radio station springing up, and like, you know what I mean, it's some like people who are getting into it, and yeah, look, there's a lot of the times they have no idea which direction they want to go in. Like, I want to interview people. It's like, okay, great, but they will never ask, or they will never go for someone as like they go, oh, they're too big. I don't like, they won't listen to me. They won't give their time. But as you say, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yes.
That squeaky will, people. Be that squeaky will. Get your oil.
Yeah. Obviously, there's some people that you'd be wasting your time asking, like the Queen, who's never done an interview, so why would she give you one? But I suppose, you know, I have been surprised by, like, I had Daniel O'Donnell. I wasn't expecting that to get a reply to that. I was just like, oh, well, I might as well try. And I did. So there you go. Yeah.
So with the people you've interviewed, like basically you've been doing this since 2020 now. Like, what would you say surprised you from this, like from your sort of expectations?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't really know what surprised me. I suppose the thing that surprised me about myself was that I found it quite easy, because I'm sort of introverted. I think there's perhaps because it's a barrier, because this isn't real life, I'd find it easier perhaps. But if we were in a coffee shop or whatever, this would be so awkward. And the fact that we're sort of recording, so I'm performing still as well.
Because you don't see, well, when you say you're introverted, there's part of me which is like surprised at that, but there's also part of me which is not surprised at that. Because like the whole thing is like, okay, you've got a relaxed demeanor, you talk, like your conversation flows off of you very well. But like to go, yes, introverted, it's like going, it's one of those things, an introvert starting a radio station, that is still confusing to me in some regard.
Yes. Well, I think Terry Wogan said in an interview that was broadcast recently, but obviously done years ago, he said that like the radio, or was it television? Can't remember. But either way, it's probably still relevant. He said that it's the medium for the introverted egomaniac, which I think sums it up.
Toby. Still waters run deep, as they say. Yes. Would you describe yourself as a slightly old soul in some regard?
Old soul. Depends what you mean by that.
Because like this is the thing. It's a case of you seem to sort of delve into a little bit of a richness, or a richer sort of pool of people and talent. Like basically quoting Terry Wogan. Okay.
Yeah.
No, seriously. Because like you're 20, you're almost 20, right?
Yeah.
And let's just say Terry Wogan, way before your time. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yes, I suppose he is, but I can remember listening to him, but not really, not out of choice most of the time. But I'd probably listen to him occasionally now if he was still going. But I suppose, yeah, in terms of my guests as well, a lot of them are sort of like, I can't imagine most people my age being interested in Edwina Curry or whoever, but I don't know. I think I picture my audience as being older than me, so that helps. And also I like older music generally, so that's probably why I know Terry Wogan, because I listen to the station he used to be on, Radio 2, sometimes. So, yeah.
Now, look, Radio 2. Okay, yeah. All I got to simply say is, Radio 2, you're not the demographic you're kind of looking for.
I'm the one on, like, when they show the graph of listeners, I'm that spot that's way away from the thing. It probably sounds like a really weird thing to say that. Yeah.
Oh, no. Because, like, I'm just like, it's just, it does kind of tie into that, definitely. So with this all, now it's a case of you got your radio station, you're interviewing people and everything like this. Why are you going? Why now?
Why now?
Yeah, because it's been like 2 years, and like, you know what I mean. What was the why?
I don't know. I think there's I like the idea of the fact that I've done nearly 500 interviews, and that's a big number. That's something I can be proud of, I think. And then you've done 250 or something ish, you said earlier.
Just shy.
Yes.
2 more interviews, I'll be at 250.
Wow. Yeah. So I think I don't really know why. It's just something to do. And I enjoy meeting people. And it's also the fact interviewing celebrities is the best part, because you get to meet them. There's no other sort of job, if you like, or, position to be in where you could email a celebrity and ask to talk to them for an hour and have it on record. That's a bit weird. So, like, I suppose you can get an autograph of someone or get a picture with someone, but it's not the same as having, a full-on personal connection with a celebrity, I think.
No, I hear you. Because this is the thing. When I did my started my podcast, it was just me.
Yeah.
Just talking away, waxing lyrical. After about 5 episodes, I was like, no, I'm bored of my own voice. Stop it. And so, interviewing people, it's been an excellent opportunity to sort of get new sort of perspective, new knowledge, and learn from that. Because look, one of the things, because you're in your 20s, about to go into your 20s, or you're in your 20s right now.
Next week, I think.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Next Wednesday.
Happy birthday for next Wednesday.
Thank you.
This is the thing. The sort of social opportunities to go out and be out with friends is so much higher in your late teens, your early 20s. Then as time goes on, when you turn around and go, yes, we're going out, and you have your friends go back, we are Legion. Oh, you hear the big roar. When you get to your sort of late 20s, early 30s, so I go, we are Legion. It's that roar is not as
because they've all gone off and had kids, haven't they?
Kids, marriage, everything like this. And it's really weird, because this is how it normally runs. You have a few outlier friends who do it quickly. I'm married, I've got kids. You're like, okay, great. Then it's a little bit more, and then it's nothing. Then early 30s happen and it switches. And then whoever's left, they're the outliers. And so when you go, we are legion in your mid 30s, it's like, well, no. We're a crack unit, which just like we get together and we like do our little missions here and there. Yeah. But you have less opportunity to talk to new people. You have less opportunities to expand your mind and grow. Like I wouldn't say I envy you, but I'm excited for the progress you've made. Like having 500 interviews under your belt with like all these different people. It's like you've had a fantastic opportunity to learn and grow a lot more than like your like peers. Think about the wealth of knowledge you've like managed to tap into and being generous enough to share it amongst like the people who listen to your show. It's a great thing. You know?
Yes, absolutely. And I don't know if there's any need for you to be jealous, because you only need to do, 252 more interviews to get to 500. And if you really want to, you could probably ask Edwina Curry yourself if she wants to come on.
Well, that would be a fun interview. Just like sitting here in a chicken costume. How you doing?
All right, hen.
Yeah. So this is the thing. Now, you've had the interviews, you're doing this. Like, so where do you think your sort of journey is taking you with the whole radio side of things?
I don't really know, to be honest, because I don't really sort of think about the future much, which is probably a bad thing, or it's probably like really good because you're living in the moment or something. But I don't know. I sort of like what I'm doing now because, and I sort of, if what I'm doing right now continued until I'm 82, I don't think I'd really have a problem with that. Because then 500 would be a lot bigger. It'd be something thousand maybe. So yeah, I sort of, I mean, it probably won't be exactly the same for like ages because that's impossible, but I sort of like what I'm doing. I have no reason to change my tact.
No, I hear you. And like, this is the thing, like, it's one of those things where, okay, I'm always interested in how people's, like, how they want to see their journey go. Because like the whole thing is like, we always have a picture of what, like, the final destination, and we seldomly look at what the journey, the steps along the way look like. So it's like, this is my destination.
Yeah.
And it's like going, yeah, but you've got several steps. You've got a long way to go. And that destination might be a year away. It might be 5 years, a decade, or, as you said, maybe in your late 80s or so.
Yeah. And the thing is, I don't think anybody ever feels like they've reached their destination. Nobody ever goes, I've made it. That's not a thing. And even if you feel you have made it, you've probably got a feeling that in a minute, somebody's going to tap you on the back of the shoulder and go, actually, we hired the wrong guy. This has all been a terrible mistake. Get back to the very junior position.
So you must enjoy being your own boss.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, that's the best. I mean, I suppose I'm not my own boss because there are management above me at the station. But if they ever had enough of me, I could just go to another station, really. There's loads.
Yes, there's loads. It's like, see ya, bye-bye.
Yeah. But I'm right in with the management. I know what they've been up to and who they've been up. I know all their gossip.
It's like, he knows where the bodies are buried, people.
Yes.
He knows where they're buried. It's like, yeah, if you don't give him a small brown envelope each and every week.
Yes.
So how did you land your job then?
How did I land it?
Yeah.
Well, I can't seem to remember how exactly I joined Shout Radio. I think for some reason or another, I already knew the boss, but he wasn't a friend or anybody I talked to. For some reason, I knew him. I just, in the back of my mind, knew him. So at the start of the pandemic, I asked if I could start a weekly show. I started it almost to the day 2 years ago. I think it was the 21st of May. Sad that I remember that. But so, and then I just started the interviews themselves in September of that year, and then in November it became twice weekly because I had so many interviews that I didn't have enough room on a once weekly show. And yeah, that's how I landed it. 2 years, so I guess that's a long enough probation period. It probably means that I'm good enough to stay at the station. Either that or the management have just never listened.
So would I be right in saying you're a salaried man, or it's a case of they just like go, here's a box of sweets, now just go out and play?
I'm not sure if salary is the right word because it's not consistent, but it improves. But it's self-employed. Let's call it. Let's just say I'm paid, but it's not. A sort of regular payment. Yeah, we'll see. It makes sense to me, and that sounds kind of dodgy, but I promise you it's not.
If you get it's the tax man.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, like this is the thing. No, that's all cool. Like, you know what I mean? This is the thing. If it gives you the freedom to sort of do what you want, and you're enjoying what you're doing. Yeah, it's like, I think there are many a person who would be quite envious of the position you hold, you know? Yes,
I think so.
Yeah. So, is radio the only thing you do, or is there other sort of avenues you're looking at this as well?
Well, currently radio is the only thing I do. Actually, well, I suppose that's not entirely true. There's one guy that hires me, maybe once a month on average, to do an interview for some blog or something. But I don't really know much about that because I record the interviews and send them off. And I never really know where they go. So if anyone can find them, I'd be grateful. But yeah, so that's sort of another thing. But it's still, I don't know if you'd call it podcasting or whatever. It's not on a podcast platform, but it's a recorded piece of audio that's put up online. So I suppose technically it's a podcast, isn't it?
Right. Because this is the thing. It seems it seems like you're on the cusp of really joining the creator economy out there. Possibly, I don't know, not maybe a YouTube channel down the line, maybe your own blog, who knows? But definitely more on the creative side rather than okay, you're I say a salaried man at your radio station, but also doing the interviews for this blog out there. You're not just where the interviews go. But I
think there's more than one blog as well. I think it goes all sorts of places depending on who is getting interviewed.
Yeah. So do you think you would sort of delve into the creative economy, the creator economy a little bit more so?
I don't know really. It depends. Cause I mean, I suppose I have a YouTube channel in the way that I put all the interviews on the Shout Radio YouTube channel as well, and Facebook page. But it's I don't know if I would. At the moment, I'm not really interested in setting up other stuff at the moment. It just depends. If somebody emails me and says, "We'll give you loads of money if you do this," then sure, I'll do it. But if it's just for fun right now, not really.
I see. That is interesting. This is being a little bit surprised to that because it's a case of okay, no, because this is the thing. As a from going from a 9-year-old to someone who's 20 next week Wednesday, it seems like you were seriously into controlling your own destiny, rather than someone else guiding you along the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. I seem to have managed it all myself. I've never had anyone sort of guide me, and that's doesn't seem to have been a bad thing. I suppose at the same time, I've never had anyone tell me what to do, which has been a positive. I've never been told off. Well, I've been told off actually for stuff. I don't think I've been told off for anything I've done in my show.
Right.
But I've been told off for other stuff. So that's good. I sort of have the freedom of like I've probably had guests that I probably shouldn't have had of. I've interviewed people I don't like. I'm not going to reveal any names. Who aren't actually bad on air. They're just a bit of a behind the scenes. I think I've had one or two people who I maybe shouldn't have had on, but still wasn't told off for it. So things seem to be fine.
Were they sort of dodgy politically speaking, or were they just not sort of okay?
Yes, I'm thinking of one person in particular. Yes, dodgy in terms of saying harmful things that aren't true.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. A compulsive liar on the M scale.
Yes, that's we're putting it. Although it's one of these compulsive liars that I think thinks that they are telling the truth,
Well, you know what I mean. Far be it for me to talk ill of the mentally ill. Sorry.
Yes.
But like, this is the thing with regards to like sourcing the people you're interviewing. Like, is it all down to you, or do they give you someone to assist you with that? Because
yeah, it's all down to me, really. Yes. But yeah, and sometimes I reach out to people, and sometimes people reach out to me. Yes, it's all down to me and I seem to be doing a better job of it because some people in management have tried to interview their own people, and I mean, they haven't really managed to find many people, but I found loads of people, so I'm winning the competition.
So what's been making you turned you into this winner for someone who hasn't done it before to now El Champion?
I don't know. I don't know. I just managed to think of the right people to ask to come on and who are willing.
And who are willing.
Yes.
So So with what, not asking for names or anything like this, but when what sort of challenges have really sort of come out of doing an interview show? Because there's things you can gain, but there's also challenges which come out of it.
Challenges like what? Tricky guests or
tricky guests, tricky moments, basically things you didn't expect. I
don't know if there have been. I suppose there are people that come on and give one-word answers. It's very rare, but okay. I mean, I'm sure you've probably had it. People who are they wanted to do the interview, but when they get there, it's like they act like they don't want to be there. It's I'm like, so what genre would you describe your song as? And they go, pop. Okay. So it could be awkward like that. But that's very rare. I mean, I haven't had it in ages, actually. I mean, children. I've had a couple of children on, and children generally give shorter answers because that's the nature of them, I suppose. But that's not so bad, really. Yeah, I think, to be honest, I prefer that to people that talk for 3 days with one answer. Because that just does my head in, I want to go to bed now. You're talking about something that I'm not even interested in. Yeah. I don't know. I don't tend to find it too hard. Yeah. Sometimes I'm thinking, I don't know what to ask this person, but then it just sort of happens and it's fine.
Being out on the limb.
Yes.
I hear you. I understand that sort of like bit. Like this thing. I have not interviewed any kids, but like the whole thing is, I can imagine that just through sort of life experience, they can really sort of like go, let me string together like a 10-minute like articulate answer.
Yes.
Do you like Baby Shark? Yes, I do. Let me go through the many sort of different layers of why Baby Shark moves on a spiritual level and as an emotional one too. Well, it starts with baby. No. Yeah. So like this is the thing with like all of this and like with radio and everything like this. Are you doing it from their studio or are you doing it from your home?
It's a good question. I do it from my home here with this very microphone and this place. I did do it from the main studio for one show last year. And it went fine. Only pressed the wrong buttons a couple of times, I think. But yeah, I do it from here because I can do. And, it'd be pointless to do it from there all the time. And it's because I pre-record some of my interviews at like in the evening or like first thing in the morning sometimes, I'd be basically spending all my time at that studio if I was doing it. And also, that's like 4 hours on the train away. So I'm not going to that every day.
Oh, that's one hell of a commute right there. Yeah. Like, do you find often your show when it's competing against, say, the likes of streaming, that there's a sort of drop off? Like, because like come next week, there are going to be a number of different TV shows coming out on the streaming networks. Like,
is that like Stranger Things? Is the new series and stuff?
Season of Stranger Things, The Boys is coming out. All of that.
I don't think it negatively benefits because it's not like, I don't think people tend to choose between radio and Netflix. They choose between something on Netflix and another thing on Netflix or whatever. Yes, I suppose people, some people might be watching Netflix instead of my show next week, but I suppose that's a temporary thing while these new shows are out. And once they binge them all, they'll come back, won't they? That's how it works.
You hope.
Please come back.
If they don't, put it this way, I'll be like, come back to the podcast.
I'll just have to start my own series on Netflix then. I don't know what it'd be about, but if it gets the viewers.
If it gets the viewers, it gets the viewers.
So
with this, I know you're not too sure where your journey will lead you with regards to what you're doing with radio now. Like, if there were no offense to Shout Radio, it's but if there was a chance of, say, a national syndication or anything like that, which radio station would you go to?
Any station.
Any station.
Well, it depends if the money's right. But I suppose, Radio 2 has the most listeners, and that's broadly the same music I play, so that, on the face of it, seems like the best value. But if Radio 2, if, say, in some random other station were going to give me £10 billion to do it, then I'd go there, wouldn't I?
I'm curious. Okay, now, because now, if I was like, okay, I've got 10 million pounds,
yes,
which I can give you, or I can give you a contract with any radio station for the rest of your days you can like change, go anywhere you want, but you only get paid like, say, 200 grand a year.
I'd go for the second option, I think, because that's more money over time, isn't it?
Well, let's say like I fucked up there, but like okay, oh, but you get half the money.
Half the money.
Yeah.
Overall, or
yes, overall, the time of your career.
Well, that's a tough decision, isn't it? £5 million in a lifetime, still a pretty good amount, isn't it? Right, let's see. Let's say I work for like 60 years. 5 million divided by 60 is 83,000 a year. I think that's reasonable, isn't it? But it depends. Yeah, I'd probably go for the second option still, I think. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. No, that is interesting. Because it's like, yes, you are cash centric, but you want to do what you want to do. Like, I don't know. It's like this is like I can just so see you breaking out into something else. I'm not too sure what yet. And like the whole thing is it's a case of you don't know what yourself. So yeah. But I feel like this is like the first few stepping stones in something possibly a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Maybe, he says. Yeah. I don't know.
So let me ask you. Now, if radio didn't exist, what would it be instead?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't think television, but you can't really do that from home. I mean, you can do, but it's not. People know that you're doing it from home. I suppose podcasting, maybe if that still existed, I'd maybe have ended up doing that. I feel like this sounds like really deep, and like usually when people say this, it's nonsense. But I feel like something like radio would find its way to me anyway. Yeah.
But it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but something like it, like podcasting, or maybe I'd be a continuity announcer on the television.
Hey, like Roger Tilling. Hey.
Oh yes, asking that is University Challenge. That's the guy, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. He's a nice chap. Yeah,
I should maybe get him on the show.
Never know. Might be able to help you. That's another story.
Yeah.
Yes. I see. So maybe a commentator. That would be very interesting.
Yes, except I know nothing about sport, but I don't know. Maybe I could commentate on, like, they have commentators for like Remembering Sunday and things like that. I could be like the next David Dimbleby or Hugh Edwards or whatever.
There you go, with that old soul again. You're 20 years old, running into 50. 60. Brilliant. No, I like it. So when you basically said, yes, radio's my thing, and yes, I want to start my own radio, Mama, Papa, I want to start my own radio station. What did they say? What was their reaction when they first heard this?
I don't really recall asking them. I think I just did it. I don't recall them having a problem with it. I think they would if it was a visual medium, me putting myself out there as a 9-year-old. But radio is it's fine. Maybe they would have objected to it if they knew the sort of full, because there was like, I suppose there was sort of still social elements of it. You would sort of meet fellow presenters,
right,
which were actually of a similar age in the end, but yeah, and nothing bad happened. But it was just, I don't know. I don't think they had a problem with it, and still don't really. Yeah.
I see. It's like, okay, fellow presenters. Like, so now, like, is it this small cabal, a group of presenters like roaming around the British countryside? Like,
yes, yeah, the squad. As far as I know, all these other presenters at the time are probably not presenters anymore, and have gone on to do other stuff probably. Because I don't know. Maybe some of them still are.
Mm-hmm. So what's keeping you in the good fight if they
I don't know. The money, also the meeting people, I think, because I don't know, because my radio stuff has sort of been on and off for the past 10 years, but it's now been on for 2 years consistently. I feel like maybe if I wasn't interviewing people, I don't know if I'd still be doing it. So it's probably the interviewing people that keeps me going, because that keeps it fresh, I think. Okay. I think before I started interviewing, I felt like I was just doing the same show all the time, but I'm not anymore, because it's a completely different person. Because one day I've got a politician, next day I've got like a puppeteer, then I've got like a pilot or something. It's completely different and always interesting.
Is there one sort of particular genre which sort of interests you when, like, with regards to the people you're interviewing?
I don't know if there's one particular genre, but there are certainly some that I do a lot. Like, I've had a few Muppet performers on.
I'm sure you have.
Yes. Musicians and authors are probably the most common, because there's just loads of them, and that's who seems to want interviews the most, because they want to promote whatever. And I've started doing politicians, of course, with Edwina Currie and Vince Cable. It'll have to be somebody from the Labour Party next to keep it balanced, but I don't know who yet. Maybe like Ed Balls or something. I think I like doing retired politicians, because I think there's less pressure. Nobody's going to go, you didn't challenge him on this thing he said in the Commons the other day. They're retired, so you can sort of just talk about their career. I think people probably still get annoyed if you don't challenge them, but if you want an interview like that, watch Newsnight, I say.
Yeah. Do you think politicians who are retired are more sincere than when they're truly in the mix?
Yes, I think so, because they don't have to defend the Prime Minister or the party leader, because they're no longer working under them. It's interesting, because I had Vince Cable on. I think he generally is one of the more sincere politicians. He tends to try to answer the question, unlike some. I mean, Edwina Currie seems to come across as sincere as well, generally, but I mean, she hasn't been an MP since like 1997, so I mean, I don't really know what she was like during Parliament. She might have been insincere a bit. I don't know. I can't remember. But I mean, yeah, I think to answer your question, yes, because they're retired and they can criticize the government or their party whatever way they want to, really.
This is the thing, I always wonder about that, because like the whole thing is, when you're talking to someone who's been in the game and they've played all aspects of it, especially if they've made it to ministerial level, you're like, oh, okay, like, who are you today without that sort of role? Who are you today after, like, basically you've had to put down like the sword and, like, you know what I mean, like turn it into a plow, and that you've like got to live this sort of life of sort of relative obscurity and out of the action, but you see the game like still being played out, but you have a greater insight into it.
Yes, it's always interesting, because I always make sure to ask them what they think about the government today, issues today and stuff. I mean, I suppose unsurprisingly, Edwina Currie was more on the side of the government than Vince Cable was. But yeah, I suppose they still have their criticisms there of things they would have done differently, regardless of the fact that they're still in that party.
Yeah, I always get the vibe it's most really, with like ex-football players talking about the game.
Yeah.
Just waiting for. I'm just waiting for which politician most probably be the Roy King.
Yes.
Will never happen in my bloody day.
Yeah.
Okay, calm down.
Yeah.
So musicians, authors, like, do you find sometimes like the sort of stories you hear either repeat themselves, or is it a case of they're quite unique? Because, like, you know what I mean? Book development is book development. And
yes.
like song development is kind of song development. Like, do they sort of really sort of get into like, hey, this is how it was back in my day, or?
Yeah, I think sometimes it can be a bit repetitive, but actually a lot of the time they have really interesting stories that are quite unique. Because I feel like most people, unless asked, they wouldn't mention something if it wasn't interesting. But I suppose, sometimes I do ask things that are like, the answer could be boring, but I don't know. It's sometimes people, I think everybody's story is different, so you're not going to get exactly the same answer, but sometimes people are similar. Yeah.
I see. No, it's always an interesting one when talking to people, like the sort of little things they go through, the little like sort of quirks. That gives that sort of little bit of a more interesting perspective on some of like the conversations they've had, the stories they have to tell. And yeah, their journeys like always fascinate me. Because it's like, wow, could I do that? Wow, would I be able to maintain focus with that? Like some of the burdens sometimes they've had, and it's like, ooh, that's challenging. Would it break me?
Yeah.
So would you say, like, so with your sort of interview skills and techniques you've picked up along the way, like, would you say you are almost fully developed, or are you still evolving?
I think I'm still evolving. I don't think. I mean, I sometimes listen back to interviews from like a year and a half ago and think, God, that's terrible. I've improved so much. And I have improved so much, but I think, I'm always evolving. Nobody is ever fully developed. And yeah, as time goes on, I will get betterer and stuff.
Like betterer.
Yes. Because better than better, you see.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, so with like, if you could like tell your younger interviewing self, like give them some sort of insight from what you are now, your older interviewing self, what insight would you lay down on them?
Ooh, that's a good question. And I don't know the answer.
You must have some inkling.
We must have an answer. I don't know. Maybe just don't worry about it. Like, or I think I was nervous the first few times I interviewed. I suppose, and this sounds really obvious, but I think I tried to cheat a little bit with this, like right at the very beginning. If they have a song, listen to the song before the interview, or if they have a book, try and read part of it. Because you don't have to buy it, you can just read a bit of it on Amazon. Actually make sure to do your research, and ask people if they want to come on. If just go ahead and invite people, because I think the very first sort of semi-famous person I wanted to invite on, I think it took me 2 months to pluck up the courage to send the email. Don't know why it took me so long. I was probably just not thinking about it much. That's the real reason.
Yeah. My. Interesting. So if there was something you like would sort of want to learn from now to say 2 years into the future from this process, what would you think that might be? Do you have an idea?
I don't know what I want to learn. How to get the juicy gossip. How do you get the gossip from people while still being polite? Without asking a really rude question, how can you get them to say something that gives you your headline? There you go.
Well, like, this is the thing. If you really want the dirt, if you really want the sweet sauce, like conversation and like building that rapport with people on a sort of daily basis. I'm sure, like, depending how you want to like go with the conversation, things will like come your way. I'm certain of it.
Yes. Think so. Hello.
Oh, I'm here. No,
Yeah.
Oh, telephone going off.
Yes, that's, I don't know. Ooh, okay, right.
Yeah. So I have to ask now, if there was 3 people you could interview alive today, well, and mentally astute, who would those people be and why?
The Queen, because she's never done an interview before, and she's like arguably the most famous person in the world, definitely the most famous woman in the world, and I'd get like everyone would watch it and listen to it and whatever. Frank Oz, he is the Muppet performer who did Miss Piggy and Fozzie Bear and Cookie Monster and all sorts originally. Animal. Yeah, love to get him on. I probably could, actually. And third, I don't know. Who's like a really... David Attenborough. I'll go with him because he's like a really respected guy. And so, yeah. And he'd be really interesting. I'm sure he'd have a lot of stories to tell because he's been everywhere and has seen a lot of things in his life.
Interesting. Fascinating. Yeah, I would like to, like, the Queen, I definitely agree with that because like, this is the thing. If you're talking about someone who, like, okay, she, like, for pretty much everyone who's alive, she's been pretty much grandmothered into the old like sort of system of like, okay,
yeah,
I'm twice your age and then some, like, and the whole thing is she's been my monarch from the time I was born up until present day. She's been your monarch, she's been your parents' monarch, and it's like it goes on and on. I would love to like ask her about some of the stuff what was going on through history. She would definitely be privy to more information than like the average human soul, let's just say. What would she like? I think, and especially now, I think she would be more than happy to maybe like, that's like, well, seeing as most of the people are not here right now. Like, this is what really happened, you know?
Yeah, all the dirt on people that are dead, like Princess Margaret and Philip and
yes, the story's what could be told. It's like, it's like Harry. Like, what's that about? It's don't ask. But yeah, Attenborough. Like, this is the thing. Like, Attenborough, I would love to know, like, when he did, was it Planet Earth?
Blue Planet, maybe?
Blue Planet, the first season of like what that was like, because like it was one of those things which at that time it was so groundbreaking. It was just like going, okay, like getting camera guys to lay on the beach while killer whales come up right next to him taking out seals. That is, to say the least, trippy. and all that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, fascinating. No, like the Muppet guy. It's like, yes. It's like my simple question would be like, yeah, how high were you guys through most of that period of time? It's like, yeah, how much LSD went around? Was it like, what was Jim Henson like?
Well, apparently, actually, I think I read in his biography that Jim Henson tried LSD once at like some experimental nightclub he tried as an experiment, and he didn't like it.
Okay.
So there you go. I've shut down your claim.
I'm not claiming anything. All I've got to say is, yeah, like the Muppets take a lot of imagination. And the era they came around, yeah, let's just say a lot of stuff what went down.
Yes.
That
guy has definitely been on drugs, but and same with that guy, but and that guy definitely, but most of the others probably not.
Oh, you see, there you go. I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Like my final question I've got to ask. Yeah. What is one thing you're grateful for?
Oh, I don't know really. Famous people who say yes to interviews. That's my grateful for thing.
Well, if they didn't say yes, you wouldn't have bread and butter to like survive on. No lie. Excellent. I have to say, Toby, thank you for coming on today. You have been great. Thank you very much. Now, is there any way the lovely people out there can find you out on these interwebs?
Yeah, if you go to shoutradio.org.uk, you can find our station. My show's on Thursdays and Fridays, 3 till 6 p.m. UK time. And you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/shoutradio and on Twitter at YourShoutRadio. And you can email me personally at toby.gribben@shoutradio.org.uk if you want a request or whatever.
Yeah.
And I shall oblige.
Outstanding. Toby, thank you once more for coming on. Hey, and I'd like to say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors, for sticking with us right up until the end of this show. Please stay safe, stay well, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic. Be all the positive bees in the world you can be, and then some. Have a great day, guys. Yes. Peace. And we are...